So why was the president tweeting criticism of a London mayor at this particular time?
Yeah, let's talk about that for a moment. But if this is going to be another discussion about a tweet for 6 minutes, then it really, again, is something that is unseemly. But the president was making a very, very valid point that we have to jettison political correctness. We have to apply honesty to the threat. And saying it's just business as usual, don't worry about a thing, a Pollyannish attitude to a threat that has killed 170 people in the last 2 years in Europe alone and maimed more than 700 has to be dealt with honestly.
OK, I see that. But then isn't the right response for people to sort of get together in a constructive mindset and say nice things and useful things, rather than just, you know, pathetic excuse by London Mayor Sadiq Khan? This is the bit I don't understand. In what way was the tweet, and I know it's just a tweet, but in what way is it helpful to call something he says a pathetic excuse?
Well, again, I'll talk one more time about this tweet, but it would be much more useful for the BBC's viewers and, you know, the alliance between the UK and Britain in general to talk about real policy issues and not tweets. The point is, we will not come together adequately to the task in hand unless people talk honestly about the threat to London, the threat to Washington, the threat to DC, the threat to Paris, and that's what the president was writing about.
Right. And that's a very important substantive point. It's not just a tweet, it's a substantive point. But your point then is that other people are talking dishonestly about it. The Mayor of London or the UK authorities. Who and in what way are the people you're focused on as talking dishonestly about the threat?
It's those people who spin absolute fabulous fantasies and don't deal with the threat at hand.
Is Sadiq Khan, the Mayor of London, is he one of those people?
If his statements are meant to deny the reality of the threat, then he could be. But I'm not going to talk for him. Right. You should ask him yourself.
Well, I know his answer is that he's not. And I sensed your frustration that I was asking you about your boss's tweet. And I know in other interviews you've said it's just a tweet. It's not, you know, you stop banging on about tweets. It's not policy. Is it useful to have him tweeting random thoughts, getting into little arguments? I mean, if it isn't policy, isn't it getting in the way of getting in the way of clarity of message? Because here I am, all confused. I was thinking he was being critical of somebody when he says things like pathetic excuse by London Mayor. And actually, you've put me right and explained he's not being critical. He doesn't even know what the London Mayor's views are. So what is the benefit of this communication by tweet policy?
I'm sorry, I can't help you with your confusion. What is the benefit? That is how a businessman who's never held elective office won the election. He out-trounced the mainstream left-wing liberal media. That's the value of Twitter. Not everything is about policy. Some things are about strategic communications. A stump speech is about strategic communications, as is the president's Twitter account.
Got it. I mean, for reasons that you will probably not understand or not want to hear, a lot of people here are being very critical of President Trump for picking an argument with the London Mayor at a time when the city has been facing an attack.
And I'm glad you're talking for them.
I'm just summarising what I've picked up. Quite a few people are suggesting, in the political circles, that it would be inappropriate for President Trump to have a state visit to the UK. Do you think he'd be bothered if the state visit was cancelled or called off, or at least for the time being?
If anybody thinks that a state visit is held hostage to Twitter, then they have no understanding of the relationship between London and Washington. And that is a sad, sad day for anybody who thinks that.
So you think all this talk that, oh dear, we better not have the state visit, or we shouldn't have the state visit, is just silly talk, and the state visit will happen in your view?
I think if you ask Theresa May, If you ask the people I work with here at your embassy and who come here regularly to talk to us, I think they'd have a very different answer about the importance of a visit between two of the closest democracies in the world today.